Hey y'all, thank you for joining us for episode 5 of Don't Speak For Us. Today's topic is about communication. Communication time, communication.
Well, that's how I feel about communication.
Yeah, this one is a pretty big one for me, guys, because I struggled in the past with communicating.
Me too.
Expressing my feelings, my thoughts. I was more of the silent shutdown, and I don't know. I just couldn't express my feelings, didn't know how to be as vulnerable as I should.
I was exactly the opposite. If something affected me and I didn't like it, I'm letting everybody know. And most people would tell me to shut up. So, I over communicate. But when I am afraid, I don't shut down, but I withhold my information because I don't know how a person's going to receive it.
I think for me it's easier. I mean, now I'm better, but for me back then it was easier for me to express my thoughts and my feelings through text message, because I like writing, and I like journaling, and I like, expressing my feelings through journaling and stuff like that. So when it came to like expressing my feelings to someone, texting always worked better for me.
How did I communicate? I was a very verbal communicator. I just personally think I'm an immaculate communicator now. Because if something I don't like it, and I'm gonna tell you once, and if you don't get it, that's it. But it's more so like I'm a lot more compassionate. I think back then I was more so trying to be heard. I felt like people were silencing me, and I felt like I had a voice. Therefore, I needed to say things. Like, especially going in that transformation between your teen years to your tweens, like trying to cross over to adulthood.
Yeah.
I felt like my family didn't really appreciate the fact that I was responsible, that I was an adult. So I kept trying to declare that I was an adult, but they wouldn't treat me like that because I'm like a baby. So for me, it was over communication. Don't talk to me like that. I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? You trying to set healthy boundaries, but I just feel like I was talked to a brick wall half the time.
Was it easy for you to communicate when it comes to like relationships? Because with me, I feel like I was able to communicate in like friendships and stuff like that. Like, it's easy for me to talk to my friends. It's easy for me to express my feelings and stuff like that. But when it comes to relationships, it was a bit harder for me. So would you say that it was easy? Were you over communicating in your relationship?
I wanted to be a person to let my person lead. And so I had this thing where I didn't always communicate my feelings because it depended on if it was important or not.
Yeah.
I just feel like, well, when I was in that relationship specifically, or when I was dealing with that person, I just felt like my emotions didn't really matter because I would say how I feel, and I felt like if I had to repeat it and you're not reacting to it, then I was wasting my time. So moving forward, after getting out of that relationship and dealing with other people, I remember dating a guy, and he was a communicator. He would vocalize how it was important for me to tell him how I feel, and I could not tell him how I feel. It just like, for whatever reason, I was just so worried about demasculating him or making him feel something, like some form of hurt, so I couldn't communicate with that person.
With me, it was a bit hard to communicate when it came to like, I want to say my marriage, because I try, it's like I'll try communicating, but it feels like, that person is not really trying to listen to understand where I'm coming from, or they'll try to justify their actions towards what they did.
Now, when I communicate, I try to make sure that I feel like my family would always say that I was always talking and not listening. Mm-hmm. But for me, I heard everything you said. It gets aggravating when you hear something over and over and over. And so for me, I would learn to start tuning things out. And I would talk. And then it would be more so of a conversation of talking over each other versus talking to each other. And next thing you know, somebody's heated, somebody's mad, everybody going in a different direction. So I think I got up in my late 20s and I understood. My uncle told me this and it really sat with me. Just dealing with a family situation, and he was saying, sometimes you don't realize your tone and how it comes off to people. Mm-hmm. And you may be passionate with what you're saying, but it can hurt someone else's feelings because they take it as aggression. So he was teaching me in that moment to learn how to be more diplomatic and more. So you don't offend people? Yes, so I don't offend people. Mm-hmm. Because I have a strong personality where I can say, well, I don't like when you do this. And I don't like when you do this because da-da-da. But then they take it like she's saying, oh, she doesn't like me. Or they take it to heart. Mm-hmm. So I've learned to reserve my body language, reserve how I say something, and try to just make it monotone and then try to make it calm. Because I feel like I've offended a lot of people. It seems like when I say certain things sometimes, people really get offended. Mm-hmm. And for me, my question to my family was always like, you've known me my whole life. How can you not determine when I don't mean any harm by what I'm saying? Yeah. So over the years, I've learned how to tweak the way my delivery. Mm-hmm. My delivery is important. Delivery is important with communication. So.
How do you feel that you've gotten better over the years with communicating?
I feel like with communication, one thing that we miss that's important is healthy boundaries. Mm-hmm. Being able to formulate when something you don't like something or something makes you uncomfortable or something. And I learned how to, like I said, be more compassionate. So somebody could tell me something and I could say, now I might say, I understand how you feel. I understand that you want me to do X, Y, Z. This is how I feel. This is what I think should be done. What are your thoughts? Versus, you did this to me and I don't like when you said that and da 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 blah blah blah. Two different deliveries. Mm-hmm. But sometimes, just because you mature, your communication, like your delivery with communication, doesn't mean that person they might receive what you're saying, but they can't do the same thing back. Yeah. So then it's still like a one-sided. That's why communication is a two-way street. You gotta know who you're dealing with. That's true. So I just think definitely how I deliver it, how I receive it, and being open to accept that somebody is always going to misunderstand you in some shape, form, or fashion. And being okay with having a dialogue to create room for understanding. Yeah.
And that's one of the things I feel like I struggled when it came to in the past with communication, because I'm like, I don't want, the last thing I want to do is offend you. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to offend you. So I rather keep my emotions bottled in, keep my feelings bottled in, so that I can avoid confronting you about how I feel, to avoid offending you possibly.
I don't be caring no more. I mean, I try to be compassionate in the moment, but when it get aggravating and it's repetitive, I just stop caring, because you can literally try to convince somebody, but whatever they perceive in their mind, that's their thought. You can't change it. If you get a little leg room to change it, or at least open them to a different perspective, then okay. But in most cases, most people have their mind made up when they're going into a conversation. This is how I feel. Boom, boom, boom. Here's the details. This is why I feel this way. I want you to hear what I'm saying. I don't really care to hear what you're saying. And if it is a compromising person, then they'll come in and say, okay, what are your thoughts?
To someone like me, who, like, how you say repetitive, to someone like me, when it does become repetitive, that's like I shut down. So I'm no longer speaking and I'm silent.
I walk away, because at this point I'm gonna get angry, and then it's gonna elevate. Not elevate. It's gonna escalate to something else. And so I don't like to fight. You know what I'm saying? But I will. You know what I'm saying? If I feel like I'm in a position where I have to, I don't want to get to that point. It takes a lot now. I have a lot of tolerance, and I've always been that way. But it takes a lot to make me mad, and it seems like nobody, like people on the outside, cannot get me upset. But my family know me. They know my triggers, and I feel like you know me personally. So by you know me personally, it don't take long for you to get me from 0 to 10. So they always perceive my passion as aggression. I can say, well, I love this person and I want the best for them, but I don't like how they treated me, and I don't like how they do that, and I'm not going to accept that. And my family think, well, she got such a nasty attitude. I'm like, no, I'm passionate about letting you know that I don't appreciate what you're doing to me. Because I value you, and I want you to be better at how you handle me or how you handle anybody. So, I mean, it just be stuff like that, and I just be like, because sometimes I feel like I'm a person, I'm like, talk to me like I'm a third grader. Like, just help me make sure I understand so I don't miss what you're saying. And you can dumb it down sometimes to your family members and they don't receive it. It can be literally kindergarten style and they don't receive it. And you're like, it's just like I'm talking to a brick wall all day long. And at that point, that's when you do feel like, well, I just need to either shut down, be quiet, or walk away. But sometimes it do take time for a person to be able to develop, to be able to verbally communicate correctly. But I had to literally stop and take the time to check myself, because I was like, if nobody catching that I'm just passionate and not aggressive, then what is it about me that makes them trigger when I speak? So that's when I started to tweak small things about the way I communicate with people. Now, when I'm compassionate, like when I'm on a level of, when I'm like a Morris, like I'm just in a relationship and I like somebody, I over communicate. And that's because I want them to have an understanding that I'm pouring love into you, and I want you to know that I support you. And if there's something wrong, I'm also let you know I don't like how you treated me. But I think that because I have a strong personality, sometimes it can come off as attacking or nagging. But it's not really nagging, especially if I see potential somewhere for the situation to be better. If that makes sense, but yeah.
With me, my struggle, I used to not only shut down, but give the silent treatment.
What's the point in the silent treatment? Like, what does that do? What does that do for a person?
For me, it was not so like trying to punish the person that I'm giving the silent treatment to, but it's like, I have no more words for you. Like, I don't even know what to say to you at this point. So I'm just I just shut down.
Well, first of all,
especially if you're like justifying your actions, and I'm telling you I'm hurt by your actions and you're justifying it, I just stop talking. Like,
I had diarrhea at the mouth. Just naturally, my personality, I'm a talkative person. It always seems like I have something to say. It always feels like I always have an answer.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, I don't know why. That's just the way I'm built. And for me, if I care, I'm gonna exhaust. I'm gonna exhaust the avenue. And when I don't care is when you see me put no effort. When I stop, when I fall back, when I'm not talking to you, when I'm not. And sometimes it's not even that you don't care, it's that you've done all you can.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you feel like you've tried every way to communicate or say. You tried the nice way, you tried the mean way, you tried the sympathetic way, you tried, and it's just like sometimes you just can't win and you just have to walk away. And so I've learned to just be compassionate from a distance. It's not to say I don't care, because I do care, and it does always, it affects you. But sometimes you have to walk like it don't phase you. And sometimes that's to even just get a reaction out of somebody. That's a sometime thing. But for me, I've never been a person that can not talk to a person. Like, if I don't talk to a person, I gotta really be hurt.
Yeah.
I gotta be heartbroken, like in a space where I've done all I can and I'm just devastated by the situation.
Mm-hmm. I get that. I feel like because it wasn't like something that you can walk away from, because I was, married, in a relationship, marriage, whatever. It's not like something you can like walk away from. Like, I'm done being friends with you, or you're not understanding me. Let me just leave you alone, or whatever the case is.
Yeah, you gotta work it out.
Yeah, so I found myself shutting down, because it's like, how many times I gotta say this? And then the minute they hear it from somebody else, they understand.
It's like a light bulb quick.
Like, I was saying this whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just feel like, to me, communication is super important in life.
It is very,
But not just with relationships, with friendships, with, with situationships, whatever. Because I just feel like it's a two-way street. If I call you and you pick up, I expect you to pick up. Or I expect you to call me and I pick up.
Mm-hmm.
If I talk and you listen, then when I listen, you need to be talking. Like, it's simple, it's understood, it's like, it's no in between. And I think it's most difficult when it's one-sided, because it's like one person is saying what they feel and the other person is just blocking it.
Yeah.
And if they're not blocking it, it's going in one ear and out the other ear. You can literally say, you hurt me. And the person be like, yeah, she said I hurt her, but I don't really know what she meant by it. Then you gotta go into details.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you start listing the examples, people shut down, because most people are not willing to have a tough conversation. Like, that's literally what happened with my previous friendship. I think personally she shut down because she didn't want to argue. She didn't really want to fight. And I just feel like the conclusion for me, what I learned about her flaw, was that she was not willing to have tough conversations.
Mm-hmm.
When you start peeling back the layers and you start talking about the flaws, people get uncomfortable. But for me, you could tell me my flaws and I'm going to accept that. And I might even be offended. But the thing is I heard what you said. Mm-hmm. Because now I feel like if it is correct, I need to go do some self-assessment and decide if what you're saying is correct. Mm-hmm. Or you just saying that just to get at me or get back at me or whatever it is for me. So, I don't know, I just don't, to me, communication falls under common sense. It's, to me, something that makes sense. As human beings, it's like a natural instinct to talk to people.
Yeah.
So I be kind of like baffled when people are socially awkward or antisocial, because what I define as antisocial is like, I mean, there's one main definition is where you just don't talk to people. But like, I think that when I look at antisocial, it's more so like a person is finding troubling ways to communicate, like it's uncomfortable. Because I've been in space like that where I literally tried to make a friend before, and I would talk to them and say something, like try to start a conversation, and they just blankly staring at me like I'm a weirdo for trying to talk to them. I have literally initiated friendships, and I've done this with opposite sex, and they'll tell me, no, you're not gonna get to know me because that's a vulnerable space for me. I'm like, well, how can you expect to have long-term friends and be friends if you don't let somebody in to know who you are as a person? Some men have taken that as, oh, she's trying to get with me. She's trying to get to my heart so she can get with me. I don't have to sleep with you or be with you to communicate that I want a healthy relationship. And I just think that's the weirdest thing, because so many people are like that. They feel like if you let them in to their heart space, that either you're going to use it against them, or if you use it for them, you want to get with them. You want to be with them. I'm like, why can't you just talk to a person, have a heart-to-heart, have a moment, and it just be that, and it just be that moment, and it's something you cherish in your friendship. People always start jumping to conclusions. Oh, she was, real compassionate with me. I think she wanted. No, I don't. This is who I am as a human being. Like, who is raising these people? That's how I feel like. Who's raising these people? It's weird. It's very weird. I think that's wrong with the world today. I feel like technology has crippled our generations to come, because everybody's so in their phones. You can shoot a text message, whoop, 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 and say what you feel, versus coming to that person and saying it, because some people don't want the scrutiny of the response, or they don't want the confrontation that might come with the response, or they don't want to offend the person, or just tell me straight. Tell me straight. And it's okay to be offended sometimes, like sometimes you have to say, damn, did you just really offend me? Or, you know what I'm saying? Did you just say that to get at my heart? Did you just say that to hurt my feelings? Like, why did you do that? You have to question, but that's a part of communicating.
Yeah.
How do you know, just by going through a text message, if somebody says okay, and they can literally be like, okay, no worries. But you might take it like, oh, okay. Like, oh, you got an attitude. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can get the misconception in communicating through text message.
Definitely.
It's better when you pick up the phone.
You don't know the person's tone.
Yeah.
When you're writing the message.
You don't know what they're going through that day, or who pissed them off, or you don't know if they're having a hard day at work and they don't even have time to communicate. So it might just be a moment where you receive it. I have had multiple text messages where I'll say something and somebody like, excuse me? And I have to pick up the phone and say, hey, listen, that's not what I meant. If you just give me a second, I'll get to you and we can have the conversation, or we can do X, Y, Z. And they're like, oh, you're such a nice person. I didn't even know. Like, I've had this with clients. Like, when I do design, one time I had a woman in my comments, in my messages, and she wanted design and she wanted it quick. And I was like, okay, I'll get to you, da 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 da. And she was like, you ain't gotta get an attitude, da 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 da, blah blah blah. And the good part about having Instagram is they got the little audio thing where I was like, hey, I don't want you to think that you're not important. I don't want you to think I'm not trying to get to you, but like, I have somebody in front of you. If you just give me a minute, I'm not trying to offend you in no way. Just give me a second. And so when she heard me, she actually was like, you know what, I'm sorry. I don't know why I took it to offense. So social media has definitely screwed up, just technology in general has screwed up the way that we as people communicate. I can't tell you how many times, this is me telling my age, how many times I got on Facebook and the comments, and you see somebody's status and somebody say something, and the next thing you know it's an argument, or somebody posts a status and you got everybody on the timeline and somebody's laughing about the whole situation because they think it's dumb, and somebody else is offended because they involved in it, or somebody else is arguing because they defending the person because they know that that person is not like what you presented on social media. Miscommunication.
Yeah.
That's like the worst. Or having an opinion and your opinion remain neutral, but because it don't side with the other parties, people start attacking on social media. Oh, she don't know what she talking about. Miscommunication. You didn't even say, well, let me try to understand why this person feels this way, or what made you say that. And then when they do explain their perspective, think about how celebrities come back and they explain through a video, and then their perception from what they wrote in a caption is completely different from what you received. It's like social media I just feel like social media is the devil. I don't care what nobody say. Like, I feel like life would have been better without it, and things were a lot easier when you could write a letter and put it in the mailbox and receive the letter, or pick up a telephone and have a conversation, or, you know what I'm saying, like, meet face to face, actually going out and sitting and talking. People don't do that stuff no more.
I remember getting to know people, like, when it comes to like an interest, being on the phone to like 2-hour-long conversations, 3-hour-long conversations, being on the phone, be like, oh, you hang up, no, you hang up.
Yeah.
Like, I remember those days. I miss those days. Or you falling asleep and the person snoring over the phone, but you don't want to hang up.
Yeah.
It's like y'all fall asleep together on the phone and stuff like
That's
that.
That's the good one.
When you used to enjoy having conversation. Now people don't want to talk.
But even the in-depth conversations, like when you connect with the person and you have a intellectual conversation and it does something stimulating, you can get that in a text message.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can literally I can pour out my feelings in a text message and you're like, okay, cool. But if I say those things, you feel something walking away from me. You're like, oh man, she made me feel smart. Like, she made me feel talented. She made me feel creative. Whatever it is that you talk about with that person. I don't know what that is, but it's like something magical when two people connect. It's connection. You can't get connection through a text message. You can't get emotional connection through a text. Well, you can. If it's something. I mean, I don't feel like FaceTime is all bad because you can still receive the delivery and the tone. But FaceTime and all that very easy. Like, it's just something about human connection. It's a special thing. And it's important with communication. That's my thought. I don't know, I think the world is just really screwed up with that.
Bring back the men that want to talk on the phone.
Yeah, verbal communication.
Verbal
Verbal communication,
communication.
because what you doing me all day. It's not gonna cut it in the text message. After a while, I'm about to what you doing to somebody else and what time you want to be there, because it's so awkward. It's so awkward when people don't know how to communicate. Think about people in customer service. You know how you get those people and they just overly done. You like phenomenal customer service. I'll come here and I'll come to you just because you got great customer service. And then you have the one that's like super awkward. They hate their job. Like it's like I'm forced to talk to people.
Yeah.
I don't even like people. And it's what you want. We ain't got that. What you need? I can't get you that. Then something go wrong. You can meet me outside. I don't really care because I don't like this job anyway. And it's like, you don't know how to communicate? It's just so many people, and I think it's worse with the younger generation because they walk into a world of technology. They don't know what a regular phone is. You know the phone that you have to dial, or they don't know what that is. I've seen these kids, they don't know what a fax machine is. You should have seen the kids at the job where I worked at when I worked at UPS. They were in that store and they were like, what does that do? It's got a telephone on it, but what's it do? Is that a scanner? I'm looking at somebody older than me. I'm looking at the girl that's the same age as me. And all of the 20s, the 20-year-olds is looking like the 19, 20, 21. They like, I ain't never seen that. They look like a time machine. And I'm like, put the paper in and down the number and let it go through. They don't know. Yeah. They don't know. It's unfortunate. They'll never experience beepers. They'll never experience. And I think we probably should have stopped at the beeper. I know that sounds crazy. We should have stopped at the pager because that still requires you to call somebody. But you know the numbers on your beeper because the beeper is telling you who you need to call back. And after a while, people don't even remember numbers anymore because everybody's numbers is saved in the phone.
Yep.
Now, one thing I can tell you is I know my family members' numbers directly. But I don't know any of my friends' numbers outside of that. I can give you their first 6 numbers. I don't know anybody's
I think I have
last 4.
memorized a handful of numbers. Well, one hand.
I only know my family members.
That's it.
I know my immediate family members. Family members. But that's what technology has just crippled us with communication.
Yeah.
What advice would you give for people who lack communication?
They need to be giving me the advice. I'm joking.
You're a great communicator. I just think that you're more internalized with things. And that's okay. That's okay. As a friend, I wish you, because I'm so open to communicate. I just say what I feel. Mm-hmm. I would like for you to be more like that. Not like me, but like more like when you get comfortable with a person, like when you get 100% comfortable, you just gonna say what you feel. And it's done.
The thing with me is I think before I speak. So it's like I'll think about it, how it sounds, how it may come off, if it may offend you. Like overthink.
No, not all of that. Not all of
like
that.
I overthink what it is that I'm trying to say, so that I can make sure, like, okay, I hope you don't get offended. I hope this doesn't come off the wrong way. I hope this, she takes it the right way and stuff before I can actually get the words out.
I think for me, I feel like you already know. Most times, like, some of your answers are so repetitive, you know what I mean? So when somebody asks you a question, you know the answer. When you saying something that somebody has done to you, or something you like or something you don't like, it's a direct statement. I don't like when you do this, period. This makes me feel this way, period. Then you start to ask the question, why? Well, I feel this way because. Insert your answer. Mm-hmm. Like, it's simple. So when, it's not that I don't think about what I'm saying before I say it. My passion is overruling, like, especially with people I love and I care about. Mm-hmm. I'll be like, I'm sorry if I offended you, but I still stood by what I said. Mm-hmm. I always mean what I say and say what I mean. Like, if that was a meme, that's me. Like, it just makes perfect sense to me. Anyway, anything else you want to say?
I think that's it. Any communication advice you guys may have? I need some.
She's not a bad communicator. She just thinks over things. I was like,
no, I don't mind telling people when they get on my nerve. That I can communicate. You get on my nerves.
I can, depending on how I know the person can handle it. If they got tough skin, then I know.
Yeah.
Then I know. If they don't got tough skin, I got some friends, and you know who I'm talking about. That one friend, you say something to him, and you be like, "That's not what I mean. Don't get offended. Like, we come back, you getting emotional." Mm-hmm. So you gotta be mindful. You gotta know who you deal with.
Yeah, that's the thing too, like knowing who you're communicating with and how you're coming off. Because some people are more sensitive than others. Like, I know I'm sensitive, so be careful what you say to me.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm sensitive too. But I think I probably handle it better than you do.
You probably do. Because I sure will cry.
I think the only way I'll cry with communication is if somebody's belittling me. Mm-hmm. And they're making me feel like they won't let me get my point across. That's like the angry cry. Like, I'm angry because I got something to say.
I think me crying is like built up frustration.
So yeah, combination of that with what I just said.
Yeah. If I can't get my point across, if you're not understanding and stuff like that, especially in relationships, and I'm like, out of everybody, you should understand me the most.
Yes, it's because that person knows you. That's how I feel about my family.
When you don't, and it's like built up frustration.
It be pissing me off. I be so frustrated with my family because I be like, you know me. You know me. You know my love. You know my like compassion. You know my personality. You know my traits. Like, they always, that Gemini, she got two sides. Let me tell you something. That's a beautiful thing with being a Gemini, is to have duality. And you can see both perspectives. Because most people are not open-minded. So they can't say, well, I heard what you said and I value what you said, and I also heard what she said over here, and I value that because what she said, she had some valid points. And what you said, you had some valid points, so I'm going to have to agree to disagree and say, I like what you said, but I also like what you said. People be wanting you to be biased. Yeah. Her side only. Don't ever think about nothing else. Don't think about the other person's side. Like, that's the enemy. No.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like that. You should be able to say, well, I take your information, I receive it, I agree to disagree, or I agree. That's it. I'm out. It's late. She gotta go to bed. I gotta do something tomorrow. I don't know what it is, but I gotta do something tomorrow. So tune in to Don't Speak For Us. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the subscriptions. We see our subscriptions going up, definitely. So I think maybe at 100 subscriptions, maybe we'll do something nice. I'm holding somebody to that, whoever I find in the comments. Yeah, like, share, comment, subscribe, follow, share.
Thank you.
And thank you for the love. Good night. See you later.